So Miguel is a certified life coach and positive intelligence coach and a career and strategic coaching for physicians. He's a former professor of pathophysiology at the American University of Managua, Nicaragua, later graduated as an internal medicine physician at Texas Tech University, completed master's certification from American Association of Physician Leadership. His creative research contributions, which include recent publication of in Nature magazine, complement his career in hospital medicine, a creative force. You should look at his slides. They're amazing, by the way. Thank you for doing that, Miguel. Dr. Villagra is also a prolific blog writer and a strategic advisor to healthcare startups, underscoring his commitment to bridging clinical practice with entrepreneurship. And as a physician life coach and positive intelligence coach, Dr. Villagra offers a specialized coaching program for physicians seeking career transitions. His diverse roles encompassing clinical work, telemedicine, blog writing, advisory work in healthcare startups, and coaching showcase his multifaceted approach to healthcare, where innovation, leadership, and personal growth converge. So welcome, Miguel. The stage is yours.
Uli, thank you for having me here. That was an amazing introduction. You need to send me the link so I can put it on my LinkedIn profile. So let me first really introduce myself to the audience. First, thank you for everybody for being here. And the promise for this event is for you to get uplift, inspire, and we're going to make the case for healthcare innovation. And just by hearing some of the stories and the journey of everybody that is here today, I'm already feel like pumped and excited. But we need to, I mean, I'm a career coach, as Uli was mentioning, and work with physicians that are interested on some career change, not quite necessarily out of medicine, even though some of them entertain full entrepreneurship. But oftentimes, sometimes what they want is just more flexibility on their schedule, lifestyle, life work integration, and so on. I would say that somebody was mentioning how hard it is, entrepreneurship, specifically in the healthcare innovation space. And I need to concur on that. But on the flip side, I think that this could be, and I'm hoping that this activity will spark some creativity and interest into the healthcare innovation space. Uli and I has been working together for some times, and we have some joint ventures, and I'm going to mention some of it later. But for now, I just want to mention that, I mean, it's amazing to have everybody here and this community. I have seen it growing each time I'm back and in one of these events as a master class, etc. I mean, I can see new faces, new people, and I just, it's amazing just to see growing. I believe in the power of networking and building this community where all we can help each other, and maybe some of mutual interest can lead to future ventures together. So I'm going to start by sharing my slides. As I was mentioning, today we're going to talk about healthcare innovation and how this could be a path, a very rewarding path for those that are interesting. Not an easy one, certainly a challenging one, and I will say maybe the hardest one among the ones that I always discuss with my coaching physician clients. However, as I said, this could be one of the ones that can bring you the most reward. Not only can spark and reignite your career, but eventually down the road can deal or lead to even financial gains. So the first concept that I want to share with you is going to be the concept of disruptive engagement. And that has been a passion of mine, you know, and I'm going to, in the next slide, kind of define what this means. But in general, I can say that we all know the pandemic of burnout among physicians, healthcare providers in general, in United States and in the entire world. And oftentimes career transition is part of the journey, right? So we see ourselves pivoting from different roles. And I have heard very interesting and amazing stories for each of you. And one of my job actually and passion is to support and create roadmaps and frameworks that can allow physicians to navigate all these changes. But today we're going to focus on healthcare innovation. And I think, as I was mentioning, entrepreneurship in general, is a hard and rocky path, but can definitely help you grow as an individual, as a professional, as an innovator. And I think that healthcare innovation is the way to go that can help us actually tackle the burnout pandemic. And I'm going to give you a few examples, some of the companies that I'm currently advising, and you will see how through healthcare innovation, I think is what the most effective path that can lead to tackle some of the issues we have. And however, one of the things that we see a lot is this gap between the frontline providers and disruptive technology that is changing the way we can practice medicine. And this is a call to narrow this gap just by this type of event, this type of community. That's what we want to do, and that's what we want to focus on. And I personally have been able to kind of pivot multiple times among my career from being a practicing hospitalist to start entertaining telemedicine as a telehospitalist. And now I'm very passionate about working with digital telehealth companies where I still offer clinical services, but I'm also coach some of their teams to improve performance using positive intelligence. And that has been like even an amazing exponential growth when you see how you can earn and practice more skills that you can utilize depending on the environment that you're working at. And I think that one of the message that I want to transmit to you today is that has that opportunity, that growth mindset, that entertain unlimited possibilities that you can use depending on the environment that you're currently at. What do I mean by disruptive engagement? Basically, it means challenging the status quo. And why I'm bringing this to the table. As I was mentioning, I'm on my coaching career. I started as a burnout coach, and I have heard so many stories of physicians that are basically at the breaking point of burnout, of moral injury, etc. And oftentimes, we ignore the fact that those providers are actually the front line that are seeing what the challenges are, but also the opportunities and possibility to build solutions for those challenges. And I think sometimes like events like these that allow us to stop, network, and reflect on what those opportunities might be is definitely, again, that idea of how we can spark creativity and start building possibilities for ourselves and help our community or healthcare providers, etc. As I was mentioning, healthcare innovation is challenging, and we're not going to kind of downsize that aspect of this journey, but I would say that entrepreneurship in general is challenging. When I started doing real estate investing many years ago, I was like faced with that situation where I am a physician. I never learned or knew anything about it. And I start from scratch to kind of teach myself and build community around it and kind of have this support from the community that allowed me to take action and start making those investments and reap off the benefit down the road of the cash flow. So this is kind of the same. You can start with a simple idea and you can come up with potential solution that down the road can turn into definitely something that definitely can improve the healthcare system in our country that is due for an improvement. As I was mentioning, as far as career transition goes, um, oftentimes we need to kind of stop and reflect actually when we need to pivot, right? And unfortunately, oftentimes physicians are coming from a place of dissatisfaction, a burnout, etc. Sometimes your interest might change over time and you might face yourself and find yourself in a position that is just not or aligned with, it's relevant to you at the given moment of your life. And finally, oftentimes you just want to grow, find a lot of opportunities. And I'm going to tell you, one of the most common lately customer avatar that I've been tackling through my coaching program. Physicians, some of which are in the same position for 10, 12 plus years. Some of them are in academia, and they feel like some of their position at this point has become a roadblock for their growth. They feel like they can do more, they want to do more, but they just don't know what to do. And that's why it's important when you build community and you entertain mentorship program, coaching program, and you build this type of network that support you to be inspired by what others are doing and definitely see possibilities. Now, as I was mentioning, I'm not going to downside the risk, and healthcare innovation is hard. On the right side, you can see the stats. 33% of physicians are planning on quitting their job and 55% going part-time job. But on the flip side, you see on the left side, this is a paper that I share. I believe I shared with Uli a couple of years ago, and we were in a different event. And this is the risk of burnout among digital entrepreneurs. And just to summarize the results, the risk of burnout is as high as the risk of burnout among physicians. So we cannot, again, downplay the risk, and that's what is important for any entrepreneur, physician or non-physician, that is entertaining healthcare innovation to take care of themselves first, because otherwise you won't be going that far in this journey. Now, one of the roles that I have, I have done the digital fellowship for Doximity, and I participate in building this document. This is the report for Doximity for the compensation report that was published I believe that came out in February of this year. The only thing I want to share, there's a lot of information to unpack from this report, but I'm just going to point out this part. This question was very interesting. Do you believe that your compensation reflects the level of expertise and effort required in your role? 62% basically responded no. And going back to do this call to action towards innovation, you see that oftentimes, unfortunately, the positions that you might be at definitely might not be the ones that will allow you to grow in the journey that you might want to build. And that's when you need to consider a pivot, or we call career transition. That not necessarily means you're going to give up medicine or quit your job, but all it means you're going to open to horizon and possibilities, and you can start escalating like some of them has done. And I have done it myself. When I start telemedicine, I start working just a couple of shifts a month, and I just start increasing my telemedicine presence to an extent now that I even combine coaching advisory roles with clinical practice, and that becomes interesting, very challenging, very rewarding, and I can tell you has massively reignited my career and actually my love for medicine. Now, the other side, going back to the challenge of entertaining entrepreneurship, we need to understand this is a rocky journey. It's not a linear growth, and the question is why some people fail. And actually, I will say why most people fail and just few can really pull this through. And I think that the wisdom I want to share with you once again among community support, I'm a true believer that success leaves crumbles on their path. And if you get with somebody that can show you that path, that has gone through the same road that you want to entertain and navigate, it definitely will increase. There's no certainty here, but they will definitely increase your chances of having a successful journey. The second area that I want to share with all of you today is the fact of having roadmap and frameworks. And I'm very OCD with building, even for myself, time management skills, communication skills, etc. And that will definitely, as you stack more of those, I would say that as entrepreneur persona and all the skill set behind it, you definitely feel more confident in your journey, and you feel definitely that you're going in the path towards doing in a successful way. This is one of the ways that one of the roadmap, I will say that oftentimes we kind of share when we're doing coaching events, either one-to-one or group coaching, and kind of knowing yourself. It's interesting. Oftentimes people don't know what they want or what they're passionate about. And that really, it has been massively changing for me just to understand what my values are, what my purpose are, what is my career portfolio, what gaps I have that I want to learn. And like for me, I've been very passionate about artificial intelligence applications into healthcare, and now I get to pick to work with some companies that are developing products that are improving efficiency for healthcare providers. And that has been one of the things that if you have asked me many years ago, I mean, without any knowledge at all, you see now that you can learn a lot of things by being in the right place with the right community. And more important nowadays, there are so many ways you can learn things. And we're going to share today one of those ways that you can narrow that gap in knowledge. Now, this probably is going to be one of the biggest concepts and pearls of wisdom that I want to leave you with today. And it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most adaptable to change. And believe me, over the past few years, I have pivoted different times. I have grown massively, and just seeing opportunities and try to get there faster and get to know. I mean, you need to be nimble. That's pretty much any healthcare innovator need to understand that they need to remain nimble. And that's one of the core things, because oftentimes physicians are very hard to change or to adapt to changes. And we're going through massive changes nowadays. Artificial intelligence, digital health, telemedicine in general, so many things that are happening around us, that so many opportunities that you can say that you can have around, and yet some people see it as a challenge because they cannot adapt to those changes. Definitely being here. I think all of you are in the right place at the right moment and with the right community. And that's one of the things I enjoy, and getting to know and work with Uli has been amazing. Growing on LinkedIn community. Doximity has been also a very good resource for most of my trajectory in the digital health space. And that's what I'm passionate about. Uli and I kind of share this passion about helping physicians, and at the Doctor's Journey, which is the platform that I have found, we help physicians through coaching with burnout. We help physicians that are going through career transition or career pivots, and we definitely encourage them and support those that are interested on the hardest part of embracing entrepreneurship, some of which have already an idea, or some of which already have a product that they want to deploy. And that's what I love about being part of the InnovatorMD community too, where you can get more advanced resources. But for the time being, we're going to share a basic important resources that Uli and I have worked over the past few months. And this is an amazing introductory course that is for any physicians, any healthcare innovator that is interested in getting started, spark some creativity, or gain some knowledge that can allow them to kind of explore those ideas that they are having. This course, I am very proud of it, and we spend a lot of time and work together, and we have very interesting bonus content as part of this online course that we have designed with the InnovatorMD. This is a partnership between the InnovatorMD and A Doctor's Journey, and we have some content bonuses, including some of related to coaching and positive intelligence for success, which is some of the framework that I use when I'm coaching digital health startups and in the group settings. And there is some bonus content around artificial intelligence, which I'm very passionate about, and having the opportunity to have deep conversations about healthcare innovation with Uli and put it as part of the content of this course has been I'm very excited to share with everyone that is interested. And we have this discount for a limited time. For anyone that is interested, you just use this QR code, and I know Uli's team will share some of this information in the chat. Now, before I keep going, because I have a few things that I want to share, some topics that might go more granular into the healthcare space, I just want to stop for a second. And first, I want to see if Uli has any comments on what we have discussed so far, and see if we can open a little bit of conversation with anyone that is interested in sharing any thoughts.
Thank you, Miguel. So one of the things that we are taught in practice, see one, do one, teach one, or see one, teach one, do one, whatever sequence you can do. But one of the interesting things about innovation is if you do one, it's just one. You have to see many, do many, and teach many. So I mean, that the reason why it is the reason is because it is so hard. You have to see a lot of innovation. You have to actually work with several teams to be able to understand innovation. And I highly recommend this course. And we spent a lot of time thinking about it and developing this content and actually recording it. So thank you, Miguel, for doing this with me. So I can't say enough about how great this course is. Thank you.
Fantastic. So so let's keep going. Now I'm going to share some of the tools that I actually use for myself, and I'm hoping that some of you might find useful. And one of the concepts that I've been, as I was mentioning, kind of OCD with, is to try to get me to a state of flow of massive productivity, where I can create and perform a lot of work in the minimal, compact amount of time. And you can do it through different ways. One of the frameworks that are being more helpful for me is positive intelligence, and I have multiple resources and master classes in my website at the Doctor's Journey. But for now, I just want to share a few things, right? One of the things that I see a lot that stop us from growing and sometimes even hold us back is this concept of resistance to these four illusions. The first one is predictability. Even though we can predict to some extent the outcome in entrepreneurship, there is no certainty. And we all know that. We're taking massive risk, not only on our time, but also financially when we are entertaining entrepreneurship, specifically healthcare innovation. And this is something that has been hard at times for people that has this fixed mindset, and you want to have all this control over things. And unfortunately, there is just certain amount of control that you have around your surroundings. And many, many times it depends how we cope with the things that we cannot control. Ultimately, you might be able to control it down the road, but the first strategy I want to share with you is to build techniques that will allow you to know how to understand actually that there are things that we cannot control. You just have two things, you can make them better. It requires some planning, like when you're entertaining a career change, or you just need to accept and move forward. Identity. This is something I see a lot on my coaching practice, and that is, I call the so-called a physician persona. You build all this identity, right? You went through medical school, residency, fellowship, etc. You're a practice clinician, and you just feel rooted into that identity that is hard. It's really hard to even consider that you can be somebody else. And I'm here to tell you that that's definitely not the case. In fact, I will say that entrepreneurs needs to wear different hats. Now, I have different hats myself, as a real estate investor, as a clinician, as a hospitalist, telemedicine physician, positive intelligence coach. And I feel great doing each of those tasks. And I have grown massively personally and professionally. I was recently coaching this amazing physician. She's a researcher in endocrinology, and she's been an academic for a long time, and she's trying to jump into the telemedicine space. And one of the things that is stopping blocking her and holding her back is that identity. She's so rooted into her research, and she knows that she probably needs to let go some of it if she really want to massively grow in the telemedicine space, because the opportunities she has are great, but doesn't include quite yet any research per se. And those are the things in conversation that requires time, mentorship, and even coaching. And finally, time. We have a limited amount of time. It's just a matter of how we're going to use it, right? So therefore, the keys to flow is have this curious approach about things. See challenge as a reflection. As I was mentioning, like the best example I can give you, the things you cannot control for now, because the way I see it, oftentimes you have control over time, but not at a given time. But the things that you not control at a given time, you either accept or make plan to eventually change it. And remember, true change really come through self-awareness. And it's very interesting. I was reading a book recently where there was just showing this stat that 80% of people don't know what they're passionate about. And those are the things that sometimes you need really build that level of self-awareness. The second thing we were mentioning, the challenge, right? This is a very rocky journey with a lot of challenges that you need to overcome. However, oftentimes people might give up too soon. And even though it is important to build the wisdom when to say it or stop or when to pivot, but at the same time, it's important to understand that what is the journey of the entrepreneur and feel that, remember, sometimes the most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. And I'm gonna give a very interesting, even farandula kind of example, right? I was just reading a little bit about Ryan Reynolds, who is the actor of the Wolverine movie with Deadpool, and he write 30 scripts of this movie before one was accepted by Disney to make this movie, who has made over $1 billion. So in other words, 29 times he was rejected to make this movie, and just the third one is the one that actually give him. But you see the massive gains. So oftentimes my message right now is reflect, know when to pivot, but on the flip side, know sometimes that don't give up too soon, right? And I think that that's what I like about going back to these events and community. We all share part of their journey, and just don't give up too soon. Now, going back to state of flow and struggle, release, flow, and recovery, that's a cycle that you can implement in your work. The Pomodoro technique has been very useful for me. I work in blocks of around 20 to 25 minutes in the late evening and 45 minutes in the mornings, followed by break times of 5 to 10, 15 minutes where I kind of do some mindful practices, etc. And believe me, the level of work that I can do is way more beyond what I could dream 4 or 5 years ago before I do it in a more consistent way. And one of the things that I want to mention, going back to artificial intelligence, is that for those that don't know what ChatGPT is, what Gemini is, what Claude is, well, probably you've been inside of a cave that you need to get out of, because this is here and it's here to stay. And as I was mentioning, I'm passionate about AI and applications for efficiency, right? And how can support those to be better and enhance even our capabilities as a human. And considering always the downside, right? So, but we need that critical thinking, that pilot behind these technologies. I'm working with two healthcare companies that are improving the way we document in the hospital setting through AI tools that are improving the scribe features. And I can tell you that I've been using it consistently in my hospitalist practice, because I still do clinical work for a few shifts a month, and it's just outstanding. It's massive. And I think that it can definitely change the way we practice. It's changing already the way we practice medicine. So again, this is an invitation for you to embrace the power of innovation. Remember that your asset to make a contribution to the world is yourself. So be mindful to take care of you, right? So practice deliberate subtractions. And this is something very interesting because oftentimes when I have physicians and non-physician even coming through the coaching program, specifically the positive intelligence, and they want to entertain, they want to do a startup, so they have this idea or they want to get out of medicine and stuff like that. Sometimes the question is, it's not about why you want to do more, but rather why you're going to stop doing that will give you the time and the focus to kind of develop the ideas that you have. And this is actually, there's a lot of wisdom behind understanding this part. And people, it's hard sometimes to let go things in order to get what you want. So that's why it's important for us to understand the 80-20 rule, right? So if we can get to know the wisdom to know that 20% of activities that will give you 80% of your success, that's when the recipe to success really is. It's just a matter of build that wisdom to know, are you in the 80% or are you in the 20%? And finally, remember that on your story, right? It's not whatever happened to you in the past. If you were burned out, you have any problems, so should just try. This is an invitation that on your story, and as I was mentioning, don't be rude into your physician persona, because at the end, physicians, not physicians, but also physicians, entrepreneurs, we need physicians to get involved. They are the ones taking care of patients. They have the clinical expertise. They are the ones that can help us translate innovation into practice, and ultimately the ones that will use the technology that we are developing. And finally, going back to like AI, we need that critical thinking, that pilot behind those additional brains. So we need that quality and safety oversight, that advocacy for our patients. And that put us in a situation very, very interesting. And I'm going to share some data about why it's for the best interest of any healthcare startups to consider early physician involvement. Going back to the why, physicians can be catalysts for change, even though unfortunately in reality, that's not what we see. But we have the clinical expertise. We like continuous learning. It's just that we need this little push of getting us to know the things, that gap on information that we need to close. And that's what I love about learning, about online courses, about mentorship, about communities like this one. Now, let's get more granular into some ideas that hopefully can spark curiosity among some of you. Well, rising costs, U.S. healthcare spending reached $3.8 trillion in 2019. That's 17% of your GDP. We have an aging population, and a lot of people is developing ideas that will target this population, right? So global population age 60 years and older is projected to be 2 billion by 2050. And the burden of chronic disease is 71%. This area to the right is one of the ones that I'm very passionate about. I'm working with a lot of companies that are helping and improving the care of minority groups, and particularly Latina community. And as a Latino physician, I'm very, very passionate about working with companies that are trying to improve access of care. And definitely there is a lot of opportunities and a lot of programs that you can actually reap the benefits, even financially, of taking care of this population. Once again, opportunity for innovation. I have heard a few of the models already, right? Digital health technology, patient care, patient-centered care, value-based care model, data analytics, and that's where AI, I think, is going to grow exponentially to support us on our medical decision. Examples. And I'm going to get more in detail in one specific example with telemedicine. But for now, we have telemedicine platform. They're growing massively. We have medical devices. And I'm going to share toward the end this podcast that I've been launching when I'm interviewing healthcare innovators to bring their stories, their journeys. And I have seen how amazing things a lot of people is doing to improve the health of our population in our country. Population health initiatives, right? Social determinants of health, as I mentioned. This is a model that could be very, very interesting to tap into if you're passionate about this. Let's make the case for telehealth though. And this is the IBIS report. This is coming from February of 2024. For those that are entertaining telemedicine, you can see the annual revenue in billion um, of telemedicine since 2012. You see this huge growth after COVID, where everybody went into telemedicine. But the interesting part, though, when you see this dipping in last year, it was just a small dipping. Things are not going back to how they were before. And in fact, there are still opportunities for growing over the next few years. And this might be something that some of you might be interested to get into. McKinsey estimate the number of telehealth consumers jumped from 11% in 2019 to 46% in April of 2020, with this revenue growth exceed 100% in 2020. Again, high volatility. We cannot sugarcoat this. Healthcare innovation is hard and is highly risky, right? But at least in the case that I'm making today about telemedicine, which is what I've been entertaining myself, there's still a lot of opportunities for growth in the life cycle of it. And the concentration is still low, so there is opportunity for disrupting this marker. So something for those that might be interesting. And this is the part I love more. The opportunities for innovation are high. And I'm going to give you an example. I was one of the companies that I'm an advisor with. We were having issues. I'm not going to go into more details, but we were having issues. Some of the patients were not being able to connect by video because of the specific platform that we were using for. So we start brainstorming, right? Somebody will say, okay, no video, no encounter, we're done. We're losing money, right? So, but we just come up with that rapid fire solution. We start making phone calls and do a specific mock videos of the patients just recording themselves and just send a quick video for the physical exam part that we were missing. And believe me, that's the nice about digital health and small company. You can pivot so rapidly and find solution and implement it right away that we come out with this protocol in less than a week. And we were already caring for those patients that we were losing money just because they were not able to connect by video live during those encounters. So now we're looking at some other more sustainable solution, but just an example of how innovation can be implemented at any given time. And that's one of the things that I was mentioning, how it can reignite, spark your creativity, see any challenge as opportunity. Now watch. You need to watch for the spectrum of startups, right? From digital health platform, biotech firms, medical devices. What are the key players? What are the emerging trends? As I was making the point for telemedicine, there's a lot of opportunities around artificial intelligence, and we can have a whole conversation about it. I know Uli has some events around that coming on the pipeline. In 2021, there were 12,000 startups globally, and funding was around $122 billion. The digital health space is projected to reach 379 billion by 2026, which, by the way, some of these information I'm sharing with you are coming from some of the content of the course that we were just mentioning that we're launching during this event. So, but this is some just ideas that you can kind of see and see what type of opportunities it must spark, or what interesting or what passion you might embrace around any of these. But look at this, that is very interesting. 85% of healthcare startups cite partnership as critical to their success. And that's what I love about networking. Look at these stats. 64% of healthcare startups have a medical advisor or consultant. Probably too low. I'm going to show you why. In 2021, 14% of healthcare startups had at least one physician founder. Also too low. That's why we need more information, more courses, and more encouragement of physician involvement. We need to know our value. And sometimes when one of the topics that I'm very passionate when I'm working with physicians is contract negotiation, and I feel that always we have not learned how to negotiate a contract. And I've actually have done classes just on the topic because it's fascinating to me, but this is the point in case. Building relationship, 85% of healthcare startup cite partnership as critical to their success. But this is interesting. this value proposition, startups that has a physician co-founder have a 31% higher chances of reaching a successful exit. Is of their own benefit and interest to get physician involvement early on. 59% mention communication, going back to the skill set that any physician, entrepreneur interested in digital health in general or healthcare innovation that they need to develop and practice. But this is a very, very interesting as well. Startup with physician advisor report a 40% increase in efficiency during the product development phase compared to those that they don't have any physician involvement at all. So when we were doing this course, we were coming up with this acronym of CIA. C stands for connect, I stand for involvement, and A is when you feel ready to take action. And that action doesn't necessarily has to be to start your own startup all at once. It might be just taking one step toward getting involved into the healthcare innovations space. Networking, education and training, advisory role, entrepreneurship, so many ways you can get involved. This is more like getting into the dynamics of how invest in healthcare startups. And I have invested in a few, and I have one more on the pipeline, but I'm just to mention, right, that this is important to kind of have a basic understanding of how a healthcare startup works and how to analyze how they're working, what the valuation trends are, and how you're going to get this or will fit in your holistic approach to your all financial goals. Because remember, these are high risk investment. And we always mention that among 10 startups, probably 6 to 7 might fail, 2 might give you decent returns, but you might have that one that will definitely be the next one that will give you exponential massive returns. And this is a high risk, right? Volatility in returns. And it's important to always, when you talk about financial advisor in general, how you can mitigate risk, right? Depending, and I guess the best way is by do your due diligence and understand what are you getting into and who are you getting with. And that's the part going back to connect, involve, and act. And in that order, because the more you know who are you working with or investing with, the more confident you're going to feel with the decision you're making. Finally, the power of diversification. And for me, like, it's interesting, like I have evolved my skill set in a diversified way that allow me that increase my own value proposition. When I get to any startups where I'm going to be working with either as an advisor or I'm looking as an investor roles, I always try to make them realize that the value I give goes beyond just medicine. There are coaching skills, there are positive intelligence skills, and it's very interesting because the interest is mutual. And as you build that career portfolio, that skill set, it's just mind-blowing. You know, the opportunities, the doors, the window that start open for you are just amazing. And that's the invitation I have for you today. Of course, for those that are already deploying a product, as part of the course, there is some towards the middle of it about getting more into this. I just want to mention this is an introductory course, and there are more advanced courses, some of which actually Uli already have on his platform at the InnovatorMD. But if you want to have a general sense of how to start or getting started, this is going to be a good resource for you, and I believe that it's going to be worth considering. Again, navigating the legal and ethical waters, funding models, all these are concepts that for the sake of time, we cannot get it in detail into, but those are things that you always want to learn, at least the foundation of it, so that way you can use it as you go along on your entrepreneur journey. Finally, I think that, again, building relationship, like today, we are just building this connection. Some of you have not heard of A Doctor's Journey. Now you do, some of which know Uli, but don't know me. Some people know me, but know Uli. So that's the great about networking, right? So as you grow all this network, your net worth is going to be equivalent of the quality of the network that you're building. And as a coach, as a client of coaches and as a coach myself, I truly believe in the power of mentorship for success, and having again that opportunity to work with others, more those that has going through that path that you're entertaining, it can be extremely useful because it can help you build that wisdom to understand what is that 20% of things that you need to do that will reap off the benefits of this 80% of the success that you want to achieve. And anything, and I believe that if somebody comes to me, I will tell them, you can do everything. I believe that, but you can do anything. I mean, but you cannot do everything. And kind of that have that idea of how you practice selective subtractions of the things that you don't or you need to give up on in order to allow you to focus on the things that you want to do. But that requires a lot of work. Don't take it for granted. And I encourage people to kind of reflect and build that level of self-awareness that can get you to this point where you see things in a way that you feel so confident in the path that you have chosen and you're walking it with pride. So I'm going to leave you with a few messages. The first is the 4 freedoms that I wish for you. It's the freedom of time, the freedom of money, the freedom of relationship, and interesting, the more important, the freedom of purpose. You know, when you really get to know what you're here for and what you're passionate about, you can reap off the benefits of building a successful entrepreneurship journey. But you need 4 things. You need the 4 C's. You need capability. And again, getting to know where you can get the skill gap, close the skill gaps, right? Learning all the things that you don't know yet is important. You need to have confidence on the path that you have chosen. You have to have the courage, of embracing uncertainty in your life. And entrepreneurship is full of it. And finally, commitment, that discipline, right? That consistency of doing what you truly believe you're here to do in the world, in your career, in your life, or in your profession. Remember, you always have 2 choices. You move forward toward growth or backward towards safety. So you need to strive for a sense of fulfillment and contentment by focus on growth and development. What is the biggest decision you can make in your life right now after these few minutes that we spend together, that you will get to know each other? And finally, accept and embrace everything that happened for you, not to you. This is more for the physician in general. I think that my message is that doctors needs to come first because otherwise they cannot care for others, including their patients. Remember, you have control over your own choices. Don't forget to manage your time, body, brain, and money. Remember that what's keeping you safe might be keeping you stuck. Remember also that change what's comfortable for what's possible in your life. And finally, aligning value, purpose, pleasure, and goals is the recipe for success. If you identify what the market needs and you develop a product, will give the solution of that problem. So I was mentioning, I have these podcasts you can have, and it's QR codes, it's in video and audio and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and also on YouTube. And I'm just bringing physician entrepreneurs. So far, I've been interviewing amazing people in the cybersecurity space, people that is working in wearable devices, medical devices, and artificial intelligence. So it's been an amazing opportunity. I have get to know amazing people that is doing amazing things, and I always learn something just for getting to know these folks. And I'm just have a kind invitation for those that are interested on learning more about my work and what I do. And you probably will find some of those content very useful for your journey. And finally, a reminder that we had this online course that we spend a lot of time working, both Uli, myself, this partnership, this joint venture between the InnovatorMD and A Doctor's Journey. You use the QR code and you can get this limited time discount. And if everybody's interested on connected with me, well, of course, you know how to connect with Uli, but Uli assistant also have all my contact information. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Miguel. I think that was right on the dot, and great presentation, great content, and thank you for the inspiration that you brought to the table here. Let's see if there are any questions from the audience. Please raise your hand, and we can unmute you, and you can ask the questions. But in the meantime, I wanted to ask you a question. What brings you the most satisfaction? I know you have done several things, and you still do several things, but what brings you the most satisfaction in your career?
I think that that's a very interesting question because I like to serve others, right? And I always thought that by practicing medicine, I was gonna serve others, which I do, and I still do. But unfortunately, oftentimes the way we practice medicine nowadays is not as friendly as it was, to say the least, right? How it was in the past. So knowing that you can find other ways to help others and not just help a few and help more, that is actually what brings me joy and makes me more passionate. And the way I see it, and my mantra is like in A Doctor's Journey, if I can help one physician at a time, we can still have time to coach few physicians less than before. But when I can help one physician at a time, you can imagine, Uli, how this rip-off effect, right? How this might affect all the patients they care for, right? So, and now that I'm helping startups, when you coach a team and make this startup successful, can you see how this exponentially make the world better? So that's kind of definitely what I'm most passionate about. And I think that somewhat you and I have very similarity on the way you approach things about what we're passionate and how to serve others, because I think that one of the things that amaze me of you precisely is that, you know, how you serve others in so many amazing, wonderful ways at the Innovator MD.
All right, Miguel, last words, last piece of advice. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say a couple of things. You know, remember your net worth is equivalent to the network you develop, and definitely building this community. I always learn something and be part of the right group. Remember, be sitting in the right place at the table. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship, you know, is there is a lot of risk, and yet there is a lot of opportunities for reignite your career and have even more control. Surprisingly, by not having by losing control, you cannot gain control because you are doing what you're passionate about and you're spending the time on the things that you like the most. So remember, time is limited, though. Use it
Yeah.
wisely, right? And lastly, you know, I hope you guys can check out this online course that we have developed, and we're gonna continue be available and for anyone that has any further questions. So thank you everybody for being here, and hope to stay in touch with most of you.
Thank you, Miguel. You know, I can vouch that Miguel has a ton of knowledge and a lot of patience. So he's a great coach. I can say that, and I've been happy that we are collaborating on this project. So thank you, Miguel, again.